Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to another amazing episode of the Moscova Media Podcast with your host, Vickens Moscova, who you can go ahead and follow at vmoscova on Instagram. Or maybe we should not do so much on Instagram and Facebook. We know about that major outage that happened for many hours. So I'm also on TikTok at Vickens M, or Snapchat, VM Enterprises. So be sure to follow me and check out some of my other work. But in the show description, you can see the link to the Instagram right there, as well as the link to our sponsor, Moscova Enterprises, the full-service digital marketing agency that is helping us promote and put out our podcasts throughout the world and throughout the different networks across the world and universe. So I really appreciate that. As well as for people that are looking to get into marketing themselves, we have a digital marketing course. Check out the link below, as well as link to the podcast on Kite Link so that you can follow us on whichever way that you want to listen. If it's iTunes, Spotify, whether it be iHeartRadio, iVox, to whichever place you listen. Thank you so much, and we appreciate SAG-AFTRA for putting us on to their situation. So we're thankful for that. We are a SAG-AFTRA new media podcast as well, so we appreciate that. So giving thanks. And another one of our new sponsors, new website I just made, a new company I just created. Check out milevalue/top-offers-me. Again, that's milevalue.com/top-offers.me. And you can check out all the amazing credit card offers, but you got to make sure your credit is good. If not, hit me up and I can assist you with that as well. But for all the people that are looking to sign up for those credit cards that are giving the points, the miles, the rewards, anything you can think of is on my new website at milevalue.com/top-offers.me, and you can sign up for the credit card that will best suit your life today. And that's a new service we're providing. So I want to thank everybody for listening and being part of our amazing podcast and network, which we do our best to provide the greatest content. But sometimes we go on other podcasts. That's why I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Deanna Kumpo of the Label Free podcast, who had us on recently. And we really appreciate her. Really love her flow of her show and everything. So be on the lookout for that content, and appreciate y'all so much, for real. We will continue to do our best to provide that good-ass content and do what we do over here at the Moscova Media Podcast with your host, Vickens Moscova. Once again, thanking all the amazing listeners for just being a part of what we do over here. Because without y'all, it would be very tough to promote and speak to the world. But because of you, we are able to connect with so many amazing people all over. And thank you for the great reviews on iTunes. I appreciate that as well. So I want to shout out some of the amazing countries that are doing their thing and really representing. When I look on my dashboard and I see different countries I'm able to reach and speak to people, that makes me feel good. So shout out to Australia, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Pakistan. We got India with the major listenership. And then, of course, we got Canada, U.S., and then some places in South America, which is Brazil, Chile. And, I just want to thank y'all for listening, and as well as Finland, Sweden, a lot of Europe and France and UK. So we are global, and that is why we make sure that we provide content that not only just makes you feel good, but is real, provides some types of solution, inspiration, as well as real life solutions that you can apply into your life and paradigm for your friends and family, because it's really about helping the babies and the next generation come up and have a better way, better than what we had. So we really got to do our best to set them up for greatness, while doing our best to live every day here in life for ourselves. Again, so that is part of the reason we do what we do over here. So that is why when people talk about life and work and setting their goals and what they want to do in life, you really got to figure out how you can do it in a sensible way or whatnot. One way that I came across is the Tesla method, the 3-6-9 method, where you write down your goals in the morning, sometime in the afternoon, and then again in the nighttime. So say, for example, you have a goal of attaining a substantial amount of money within a certain amount of time. One way you can do it is by writing out 3 times that amount of money that you want to receive, and in the morning when you wake up, and that's one way. That's the first 3, and then sometime in the afternoon, you write it as if you are receiving that. So, for example, in the morning you would write, you want to get $50,000 3 times. Really feel that you have it and you got it, and feel good about it. Take at least 17 seconds to really give that positive energy into that. And then in the second time that you write your goal, you would write it as if receiving $50,000. And I like to add in some time in 30 days. as if in the present, as if you're already attaining it. You're about to attain it. And then the last step before you go to sleep, you write, that was 6 times, but then now you write it 9 times as if you already have it. So then you would write, I have $50,000 and thank you, universe, showing appreciation to the universe. So that's one way to do it. And another way you can start it off with the first 3 is, I have received $50,000 in 30 days for the first 3. And then the next 6 that you could write it basically again. I have received $100,000 in 30 days, but make sure that you're feeling good and everything about it. Give it a positive charge. And then before you go to sleep, you can just write it again. I have received $50,000 in 30 days, just to make sure that, you give that time and energy and positive feeling. So with me now, let's all, say to ourselves that we have received $50,000 within 30 days. So let's all feel good. And in the network, I want you guys to shout out and comment when you do that, and call in when you receive that, because I know we can make it happen for each other. So I appreciate that, you guys, for participating in that. And be sure to do that for at least 21 days and look for the breakthrough in your life of receiving whatever it is that you desire, whether it be a job, better health, or, love or whatnot. If you just do this, this is one method, as well as other things that you got to do to make sure that you can change how you think. As the famous Dr. Wayne Dyer says, change your thoughts, change your life. So really got to do that positive work daily to make it happen. So that's one tool that I want to shout out and give you guys before we actually set into the major tool of this episode, which is a great guy that we have on that has been doing a lot of cool and amazing work in the community for executives as well as other types of entrepreneurs. So I want you guys to go over to extraordinarypeople.com/sign-up-for-free-report. So sign up for a free report with dashes in between and check that site out. Again, that's extraordinarypeople.com to check out Mr. Robert Wright, who's been doing amazing work in the community and providing super accurate tools that people that are looking to just get the upper hand, get an advantage, do the work that others aren't willing to do. Because Mr. Robert Wright utilizes a rich personal history of his own entrepreneurial success as an executive mentor to develop extraordinary personal leadership skills, focus, alignment, and commitment. Robert founded and led training industry success stories Lifespring and ARC International with a combined 1,300,000 graduates. He lived and worked in Japan, Hong Kong, and mainland China for over 22 years. He authored the essays for the award-winning photo journal One World, One People, and his bestseller, Living an Extraordinary Life, is available in English, traditional, and simplified Chinese. AudioFile Magazine awarded Robert's audio home study program, Achieving Extraordinary Success, its 2011 Earphones Award for Best Spoken Word Personal Development Program. So Mr. Robert Wright has been doing amazing work, and we appreciate you for stopping by our podcast, sir. Thank you.
Vickers, it's a delight to be with you and with your listeners.
Anytime. You've been doing such amazing work. It's Vickens, by the way. You've been doing such amazing work throughout your whole life. It's really, honor to have an elder on the line with us to stop by and showcase what he's been doing for millions and millions of people all over the globe. For people that aren't quite aware of Robert Wright, what would you like to share with us and let us know about you and about what you've done?
Vickens, I'm old enough to have a story that lasts too long for this meeting. I think a turning point for me was at 27 years old. I was broke. I had a small sales business that was really struggling. I had a big health problem, and I had been divorced and felt very guilty about that episode in my life. So my life was a mess, and a friend of mine enrolled me in one of those early human potential movement trainings, and I went there with arms crossed and legs crossed and, just totally closed and skeptical. And 4 days later, I walked out, and it sounds like a cliche. My life had changed for the better. And the following year, my income tripled. The year after that, it went up 10 times. And there was not one word said in that training about money or about business or about sales. It was all about me. And so that began a lot of success in my life. It also led me to get into the human potential movement, originally working for someone else, that same training company that sponsored that seminar that meant so much to me. I became the president of that company for 4 years. I learned so much. I got to travel the world. I got to meet some really amazing people. And then I left and started my own company and then companies. So I've been a serial entrepreneur and loved it. So today that's all in my past. What I do now is primarily is to work with entrepreneurs and executives on combining the results that they want to see in their business with the personal growth that I believe is necessary in order to both create those results, but also to bring joy and satisfaction into their lives.
Well, that's pretty amazing. From when you first went to that meeting many years ago to see you here today, utilizing what you learned. And you say a lot of that wasn't on topic of what you went there for. Did you experience kind of like a spiritual awakening around that time as well, as you were having to go through so many different types of hardships? And is that something you incorporate in your teachings to make people really feel happy about where they are?
I didn't have the language at that time in my 20s, Vickens. I think I was pretty much asleep, and the training woke me up, and it woke me up spiritually. I just didn't have the language to describe that, because what the training said to me was that I needed to get a difficult childhood out of the way, as an example. I needed to forgive some people, including my parents. I needed to take personal responsibility for my life and stop externalizing it, blaming others for where I was in life. And finally, I needed to connect with people in a non-critical way. I don't know about you. I found that there are a lot of people that share this. My mother was just an extremely angry and violent and critical woman, and she's the primary influence in my life. And one of the things that I got from that early training was that I was mirroring her behaviors. I was pushing people away from me and from what was possible in my life. Today, when I work with executives, I find that many of them have had similar experiences in their life in terms of things that maybe they don't want to remember and that affect them on a daily basis today. But because they are focused, because they have learned a few things from books or from motivational speakers or from other trainings they've done, they get very good at compartmentalizing, at pushing those events from the past down so that they don't affect them on a, or at least they think they don't affect them on a daily basis. The reality is all of that stuff that we carry from the past does affect us. It affects who we associate with, what partners we select, our relationships, our who we hire, who we fire. But it's mostly done, all of that is mostly done unconsciously. You know, I find that if people are saying, gee, I wonder why I repeated that pattern. Well, it's usually because of some burden they're carrying from the past. So, and that's something I work with people on disappearing so that they can really claim and live the life that they were born to live.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Because you know, everyone has their birthright to be happy. It even says it in the Constitution, the right to pursue, you know, joy, happiness, or peace, or whatnot. So that's pretty amazing. As you see executives today, maybe millennials, versus what you see in the past, do you have difficulties with people's work ethic in getting their motivation, or has that remained pretty much the same since when you first started?
Vickens, I'll share a quick story. When I was running a company for someone else called Bind Dynamics, there was a meeting of me and some of my competitors at a very famous restaurant in Sausalito, California, right on the water. It's called the Spinnaker. It's still there. You know, it's been renovated many times. And sitting around that table were people that ended up being primary movers and shakers in the training field, in the human potential movement. All of the names are people that you might recognize. And there was a substantial amount of good California wine consumed. And even though I didn't partake, there were some of those funny cigarettes being smoked. So people were a little bit high. We were all 28, 30, 32 years old. And, you know, captains of the universe. Everything was positive. Everything was exciting. We were doing great in our businesses. And one of the things that happened in that meeting is that someone mentioned this, and we all agreed that within 20 years, and this was 1973, that within 20 years, that our work would not be, as a career, would need to change because everything that we were teaching would be part of the conventional education system. It would be part of MBA programs. It would be part of religious teachings, you know, the add-ons to normal religious teachings. It would be just so prevalent in society that we would need to find new jobs. And we were sincere about it, as only young hotshots could be. And I mentioned the story because my experience is that we have more of a victim culture today than we had in 1973. That who to blame is a common conversation in the media, in companies, in families, that people not resisting a full-on commitment. So I think our training, our type of training, and other people doing similar work is, and what you're doing here on the air, because I listened carefully to your introduction tonight, it's more needed than ever before. And, you know, blaming the education system or blaming two parents that work, or, you know, you can find all kinds of people to blame. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that young people particularly plug themselves into an environment where positive values are celebrated and followed, where they put themselves at risk of disapproval. Because again, the culture is largely a victim culture. The victim is largely, you know, you don't want a job where you work all the time. I've heard that one recently. That people in interviews say, well, can I get off at 5 o'clock every night because I'm competitive on a volleyball team in the park? Well, you know, it's great that you have that interest. It's great that you're good at it, apparently, if you're competitive. But, you know, I don't hire people that tell me that they need to leave at 5 o'clock every day. It's not that I want to overwork people, but I want people that are committed to the work that I'm doing and that I'm up to. If they want to partner with me in that area of our work, boy, I'm going to give them everything I've got. I'm going to pay them well. I'm going to promote them. I'm going to educate them. I'm going to expose them to outside trainings, because it's not just a saying. The whole key to your success, beyond just being an independent contractor, is to be able to attract and retain great people. So I'm going to treat them well, but they're going to have to be ready to rock and roll.
And that's pretty great, because you've done work and have spoken to a group such as the American Cancer Society with James D. Brock, Senior Vice President, as well as the Denver Cybersecurity with Ray Hutchins, and also with different cities such as Broomfield or whatnot, and even different hotels and resorts you've been able to speak at. So you've been around, and you've been with working with all different types of companies, so you get to see what it's about, and that's pretty amazing within itself, because you really want to teach people how to excel while maintaining their happiness. In the story you just mentioned, what were some of the lessons that you came across that pricked your ears or whatnot in particular?
There are many, Vickens. I think maybe telling a failure story would be, and what I learned from that might be the most valuable. At 46, I mostly retired. I had lived in Asia for many years and built the largest training company in Asia. And I also, a typical entrepreneurial thing, I worked 5.5 to 7 days a week. I worked 14 hours a day. I did all of those typical entrepreneurial things, which cost me a lot in terms of relationships and with my family. And at 46, I quit, and I moved to Aspen, Colorado, came back from Asia. I built the big house, almost 15,000 square feet. I bought a jet. I got on 6 nonprofit boards. I traveled the world, 42 countries. I traveled for 6 months with the late John Denver, presenting an environmental sustainability program. I mean, I just had an incredible experience. And in doing that, I lost control of my company. So I lost a lot of money and a lot of reputation. I mean, I had the very difficult job of firing 240 people and closing 15 offices. So when I woke up from that and took responsibility for how I created it, I learned a lot. I learned about a lot by what I wasn't doing, about being the source energy of a fast growth company and of really continuing to create and innovate and pay attention. So I became a lot more disciplined. I gave a lot more attention to my organizations after that, the company that I started and that I run now, Extraordinary People. I pay a lot more attention to purpose, to vision, to values, to our strategic intent. And then beyond that, I don't pay as much attention to numbers in terms of how much money I'm making, but I pay attention to our goals, and on a 90-day basis, are we ahead? Are we right on target, or are we behind in our goal setting? It changed me as a person. It humbled me. It caused me to really reflect on my life and my work and what's really important to me. So I think that, especially younger people that are jumping into an entrepreneurial effort, it's usually about some product or service that they're excited about. And that's really important, that you have that you're just passionately out of your mind committed. You can't sleep. You're waking up early. You're going to bed late. You're talking to everybody you can talk to. And one of the things that I noticed they miss, and that I missed, was attention to purpose, vision, and values. That ultimately, if you're going to build anything that's lasting, it's going to be because you attract people around your culture and who you really are and who you are being as a human being and what the company is being in terms of the marketplace. So it's, I've heard this expression that life is a game. I think companies are a game, and games have rules. They have a purpose. They have a vision. They have values. They have a strategy for how you win. So my encouragement to young people who approach me and ask about an entrepreneurial effort is be passionate about that product and service. That's absolutely required. That's a beginning place. But also pay attention to these subjective things that the great teachers throughout mankind's history have taught, which is paying attention to purpose, vision, and values.
Definitely. That's pretty much amazing, because that's the foundation for a lot of people's goals and what they actually want to succeed, whether they know it or not. So for you to pinpoint that is pretty great. So when you're at your different seminars or working with different executives, you know, or from whatever generation, what are some ways that you actually get people to start focusing in on that within themselves if they're having difficulties? Because, you know, there's been a great migration of people leaving their 9-to-5s or whatnot. Most recently, I'm not sure if it's due to COVID, but they've even given it a great name. So how do you actually find which executives are prone to that, and what kind of exercises can you give them so that they can keep that passion going and drive to keep on working for the company as well as their families?
Vickens, my answer on that begins with a quick story, which is that I have 8 children, and 2 of them are adopted special needs kids. They both had really difficult beginnings. And my son Levi, we adopted at 4 years old, and he'd not only been abused, he'd actually been tortured. And, you know, it's like in life, you don't want to get into a place where you know the distinction between abuse and torture. But we, as a family, went through that. Levi has, to even today, and by the way, he's just turned out fantastically, but, you know, he has 6 cigarette burns on his back in a pattern. I mean, things that happened to him before he was 4 years old should never happen to anybody ever. And what it led to was something called attachment disorder, which means he was filled with rage and targeted to the adults in his life, including me and my former wife. And so we did a lot of different things for treatment, including finding one of the most incredible child psychologists in the world, unfortunately now retired. I'd like to drag him out of retirement, but he's earned retirement. And because of COVID, I got to spend a whole day with him, something that I normally wouldn't have time for, that he probably wouldn't make time for. He built a beautiful retirement home at Estes Park, Colorado, one of the most, right outside the gate of Rocky Mountain National Park. So we sat out on his deck and talked, and then had lunch, and then we talked some more. And at some point I said, you've been very successful in your therapeutic work. What's the key? And he answered, and I thought he would answer with some sophisticated psychological technique or, all of that kind of stuff, learning. He didn't. He said, what is most important is the patient's readiness. Are they ready to really look at what's working and not working in their lives? And that would be my answer about people that are leaving a job or to start an entrepreneurial effort, or leaving a job to take a different job, but especially one where there might be more challenges but more opportunities, is to take a look at their readiness. What is it in their life that they kind of know they need to do some work on, but have been avoiding, delaying, justifying? I've been busy, or I didn't have enough money to go to this coach. I didn't have enough money to take this seminar. I know I should read this book, but I've been busy. All those excuses is to really look at what is working and not working in my life, because it's going to show up in your new job. It's going to show up in your entrepreneurial effort. Maybe not right away, but that kind of stuff never goes away unless you act on it, unless you do something to clear your past, to get better at telling the truth about current reality, and really living into a vision that you chose, that was freely arrived at, not just an extrapolation from your past. So that's kind of a long answer to your question, but that's an idea of how I think about that.
Oh, no, that was perfect, though. Great answer, and amazing story. And that's one of the things that we profess here on our podcast, Moscova Media Podcast, is to always, do your best to seek professional help. And, for you to be able to work with such a great doctor is amazing with your family or whatnot. But everyone out there, in your local community, or even with COVID now, there's a lot of doctors working on telehealth and Zoom or whatnot. So, definitely get that professional assistance to help guide you or your family towards the ideal situation that you think that you can have or that you envision. Because it's difficult to do it all by yourself. And to get, and once you do that, to take a step further and obtain a coach for yourself, like Mr. Robert Wright or Bob Wright, so that you can get even more assistance and even more particular goals. And that's why I always profess getting some sort of coaches or mentors that can help guide you so you can make less mistakes and learn from their wisdom and their experiences, so that you can make better business decisions for yourself. Again, thank you so much for assisting people in their personal, professional, and corporate business life. Before we end the episode, I always like to make sure our guests have some time to say everything that they want to, and also promote what they have going on. So at this time, I would definitely appreciate if you could express yourself in that manner.
Well, thank you, Vickens, and it's wonderful to have the opportunity to share with many people, and particularly those that you mentioned all over the world. I do have that free 28-page PDF that talks about how to live an extraordinary life, and it includes a little personal check-in so that you can evaluate where you are right now and give you some ideas on how things could be better for you. And it's around what we call the 8 principles for living an extraordinary life, and it's free. And you just go to extraordinarypeople.com. You'll see where to sign up. It also includes a weekly email that I've been sending for many, many years, and thousands of people receive it. It's called an Extraordinary Minute. It's designed to be read in 1 minute or less once a week. And it also sets up a way to be in relationship with me. You can hit reply. I read every email. I respond to most of them. And it keeps me connected to people and what's going on with people. So I like that a lot. And finally, my book is available in English or Mandarin or Cantonese, and that is Living an Extraordinary Life, Robert Wright. And of course, it's on Amazon. But if you order from my website, I'll sign it. So anyway, it's all about relationship. And if I should be, and if it sounds like I might be key to your future success, let's connect, and maybe something will come out of it. Maybe we'll just be friends.
That's such an honor for you to be able to do all that, to connect with the people. And again, Dr. Bob Wright, appreciate you coming on the show and stopping by and having some time. And wish you continued success. And to all the people that work with you, thank you guys as well. And again, have a great rest of your evening, and continue to do great things.
thank you, Vickens, and my absolute best wishes for every possible success and happiness in your life.
Thank you. Peace. There you have it, my Moscova Media Podcast listeners. We have the amazing Dr. Bob Wright on. Be sure to visit his website again for that amazing tool that you can get, the 28-page success guide drawn from observation of very successful people. And then you will also be enrolled in an extraordinary minute with Robert Wright, which is the weekly timeless wisdom that can be read in 1 minute or less. So if you guys want to stay in touch with Dr. Robert Wright, do that immediately at extraordinarypeople.com and get your extraordinary people on, extraordinary person on. But again, definitely go visit extraordinarypeople.com, and thank you all for listening. We think, without y'all, we wouldn't even be here. So also check out the links for the full service digital marketing agency, as well as the credit card offers we are expressing for you guys to take advantage of as soon as you can, so that you can travel and do what you need to do at an advantage, as well as the digital marketing course, so that you all can get your marketing and get your branding on. Be sure to check out my LinkedIn for the recent podcast we did on personal branding. That is also on YouTube. So thank y'all for listening. Thank all the other podcasters for having me on their shows. Again, Label Free Podcast, as well as all the other networks that we are actually on, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, even now just SAG-AFTRA. So thank y'all for what you do. And this is your man, Vickens Moscova, signing off and shouting you guys out once and again. And be sure to check us out on our next episode that is coming ASAP. That's going to be spectacular, so you do not want to miss it. But in the meantime, go to our archives and download and read and watch all those episodes. Whether you want to go on YouTube, you could listen and watch, or even on Spotify on your iPhone on iTunes. So thank y'all, and we will see you soon. Peace. It's your man Vickens Moscova at Instagram.com/VMoscova. VMOSCOVA. Peace.